What's up, guys? Hey, it's Clint Coons here, and in this segment, I'm going outside. I'm thinking about different ways of building your real estate business. So we're going to talk to an expert on how to use television. Now, you're probably thinking, that's way too expensive. Believe me, this is something you want to learn about because my guest, Tony Javier, is going to walk you through how you can harness the power of television for direct response marketing to create massive lead flow for your real estate business. All right, let's get started. All right, Tony, like I said, it's really great to have you on. And I know the people that are watching this right now would just like to know, how did you get started in this industry?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was waiting tables in college 21 years ago now, and I saw an info product, late night info product on TV, Carlton Sheets no down payment system. So I ended up, as a broke college student, a couple $100 for a course was a lot for me. I think I had less than $1,000 in my account. So interesting enough, I used to buy a lot of stuff on TV. It's just the weirdest thing. I'd see gadgets on TV and stuff like that. And then when I saw this infomercial talking about how you could buy properties with no money down, and of course I was a broke college kid, and just, there were all kinds of examples. If people remember Carlton Sheets, he passed away, I think, a couple years ago, but his TV commercials were on air for decades. And it was talking about, people would come on and be like, man, I bought, 50 properties with no money down, and now I've got $2 million worth of equity and, $20,000 a month in cash flow. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So pulled out my credit card. At that time, I don't even think you could go online and buy it. You had to call in. So I called in, lady answered, took my credit card, and within, a week to 2 weeks, I had the system. And April of 2001, I remember specifically, I grabbed the course. Over the weekend, I just sat and I just studied it. I just read it, I studied it, I finished the whole course within like a couple days. And then, let's see, what was it? It was September 2001, so 9/11. Right after 9/11 is when I closed on my first two properties. I closed on them the same month, no money down. Had my dad co-sign on the properties for me. He put the down payment for one. The other one, I was able to buy it cheap enough where I could find a loan that would lend me the money to purchase the whole property, and actually ended up refinancing and getting $10,000. It was either 10 or 20,000. I want to say it was $10,000 back cash when, I was waiting tables and not earning a whole lot of money. So
you're rich then, right?
Yeah, it was total mind, totally, blew my mind. And then within 2 years, I was able to buy 10 properties like that, no money down, and have hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity, and I was able to quit my job and go full-time into real estate. So the rest is history 21 years later.
Yeah, but you go into real estate, and that takes you on a different career path as far as what you're doing right now, which I think is of interest to people, is that you're taking this a different approach as to how do you generate leads. Because for a lot of the investors people that are out there, it's, where do I get deal flow? How do I find people who are interested in working with me, selling me properties, buying properties, those types of things? So that brought you to television.
Yeah. So it's a funny story behind TV. Things just happen for a reason. I feel like, there's a lot of synchronicity with what happens in your life and business and that kind of thing. So I ended up, it was December of 2011. It actually might have been 10. I might have the years wrong. So I may actually be on TV a year more than I thought, but it was right around 2010, 2011. I went to a networking event. I wasn't supposed to go. I was sick. I was like, I am not going. And I had someone talk me into going. So I meet this guy. We become really good friends. He, the next week or the week after, invites me to a poker game. And so I go downstairs. This is Wichita, Kansas. We have basements. So I go downstairs. There's tables set up for poker. There's like, 10 to 15 of us. And I sit next to this guy and I'm like, oh shit, that's Chad from TV. I've seen that guy on TV before. And so I started asking him, I'm like, hey Chad, I've seen you on TV. How are those TV commercials doing for you? And he's like, we are crushing it. He's like, that is the only marketing we do. And we do millions and millions of dollars a year in business just from TV commercials. So I started asking him about him, and then he's like, you know what? You're asking questions that my media guy would know. His name's Drew. I'm going to give you his phone number. Why don't you contact him, and he can give you the scoop on TV. So I called Drew and I said, hey, Chad said I should call you. Maybe this, TV could be good for my business. Tell me about it. And he's like, yeah, for X amount of dollars, I think I could probably get you a pretty good amount of commercials. So let me go to the stations. Let me negotiate for you. I'll come back to you. If it sounds good to you, we'll produce a commercial for you. So comes back to me, I don't know, a week or two later. He's like, I got some really good rates. Here's the ad spend. I was like, wow, it's not as much as I thought it was going to be. That's perfect. And then we shot the commercial. Within 30 days, I was on TV. And this was back in, again, I want to say, I keep saying 2012, but it could have been 2011. I'm on TV. And throughout many years, people are like, you're on TV because, real estate investing, people don't think TV commercials are going to do well. But people think it's branding. And the first month I was on TV, I was able to 10 times my investment that first month. So basically I was almost able to pay for a whole year of ad spend from my first month on TV. And not only that, but it just built credibility in my market. It helped me with branding, helped me with raising private money. And it's still to this day, the number one lead source I have 11, 12 years later. And, just like you said, it just evolves. I did the phone book back in 2003, I think it was, when the phone book was still popular. So this guy cold called me out of the blue and sold me on phone book and ended up doing really well with that. So it's interesting how time evolves, how things just kind of like fall in your lap. And like you said, I mean, you got to find good sources of leads. You have to do it in a smart manner. And, in order to survive in a business, you have to have a good flow of leads. And a lot of people don't stay in the business just because they are not able to generate the leads that they need to.
So Tony, if somebody is watching right now, and before we go on, if they wanted to get a hold of you because they're thinking to themselves, hey, TV is for me and I'm intrigued, how would they do that?
Yeah, go to remtv.com. You'll be able to see kind of clips of my TV commercials or kind of visuals of it. You'll be able to see everything that we do, how our program works, and you can simply go on there, fill out the information form on there, see if your market's available. We can talk you through what you could spend on in your market, what we feel like the results could be in your market, and let you know if your market's available. And if it is, then we can run you through the process, and it's a very quick and easy process we can take you through to get you on TV within 30 days.
Awesome. Guys, check out REM TV. All right, let's get back into it. So what you're doing then is you're taking and you're advertising for people that are looking to sell their home. And then what do they call? They call a number and off of the ad, right? They call in and then you go out and you determine whether or not, or you have people that go out there and determine whether or not this is a deal that you want to take. Is that how it works?
Yeah, Motivated Seller TV commercials. Hi, this is Tony with Professional Home Buyers. Are you looking to sell your home? We'll buy your home as is for cash. No fees, no commissions, no hassle. If you're thinking about calling us or thinking about selling your home, give us a call. We provide the phone number, the website. Most people call the phone number, and some people will go on our website and research us. We like to have the phone number on the TV commercial so they don't Google us, which is going to happen every once in a while. Mm-hmm. And sellers reach out to us directly. So you look at it and you're like, why would people just call a TV commercial? Why wouldn't they just go online? Why wouldn't they whatever? But the great thing about TV is that you're hitting them when other people aren't. There's a lot of people that are on mailing lists and cold calling lists and texting lists. So we're going to hit those people, but we're also going to hit people that aren't on lists and that are just thinking about selling, or maybe their mom they know is going to a nursing home in the next couple weeks, or maybe their parents just passed away the previous week and they're stuck with this house that they don't know what to do with. And so, a lot of people think that TV is just for branding, and branding is one of the top benefits of TV. 100%, your brand, getting it out there and making it credible and relevant. But direct response TV gets people to call you and get you a good volume of leads, gets a good consistent volume of leads, and has just provided a really good return for us over the last 11, 12 years.
Okay, so who should consider using this type of direct response? So, I mean, wholesalers, flippers, buy and hold, all the above?
Great question. So the perfect client is someone that is experienced in real estate, doing a good volume of deals, already spending money on advertising, has a good sales team that's dialed in, and is able to work the leads in a bunch of different aspects, meaning they will buy and hold, they will fix and flip, they will wholesale, they will wholesale. That is the perfect avatar, right? We have everything from that that we've helped get people on TV, that avatar, all the way down to someone that's just doing a deal or two a month that is looking for more consistent leads and maybe wants to help get their name out there and really make a splash in their market. So you have the perfect avatar that no brainer, they should be doing TV commercials 100%. And then you have someone that's a little bit newer in the game that may be doing just a couple deals a month that is good for as well. Because people will ask me, 21 years in real estate, they actually ask, what is one thing that I would do different going back 21 years ago, knowing what I know now? And there's two answers that I have. One is I would have gotten into a mastermind, which at that time maybe there weren't masterminds, but gotten in a group, a meetup, gotten a coach, got support starting out the business, because for the first 10 years I just kind of put my nose down and grinded away without asking for help. And the second thing I would have done differently is found TV commercials sooner. So we do have, some new investors or newer investors that we've helped with TV commercials. And that's the thing about TV is it's very non-competitive, because people think that you have to be a big business and that you have to have a big budget in order to do TV commercials. And that is totally not true. If you know what you're doing or have someone on your side that's willing to help you with it, there is a way to do TV commercials efficiently, effectively, and not just for branding, but actually to get a good return on your investment.
I mean, so that's immediately what comes to mind, right? If I was going to do television, what is it going to cost me? Because I can imagine people are watching this, and this is what I'm thinking too, is that I got to come with a big wallet in order to go on television. So I'm going to need to be turning 3-4 homes a month if I was flipping, or buying 2 or 3 properties with sufficient cash flow to keep this thing rolling.
Well, the great thing about real estate investing is we have high profit margins, right? I mean, on the low end, people are making 10 to 15 grand on a deal. You have some investors that may not be great at negotiating, that only make 5 grand on a deal. But a lot of real estate investors that we work with are making anywhere from 20 to 50 grand on a deal, right? It doesn't take a lot of those deals to get a good return. So 100% any marketing channel you want to get consistent deals, and you probably want to do at least a deal a month from every marketing channel. But the great thing about real estate investing is we have high profit margins. And on top of that, with TV commercials, we're going after an avatar that is older and lower income, maybe middle income. And so for that reason, TV's perfect, because that's who's watching TV. Think about when TV started coming around. It was decades ago, and people that grew up on TV are still watching TV to this day. In fact, I ask people that we help get on TV, I say, when you go to listing appointment or seller appointments, do you notice their TV on? And they're like, actually, yeah, I do. And then later the report, they'd be like, hey, the last 5 appointments I went on, like 4 of them had their TV on, just while they're on the appointment. So it's a perfect, I feel like it's a perfect marriage of hitting the right avatar and then also having a high margin business for real estate investors that makes TV super effective.
So let's say that I was considering this, because to me, it's really appealing and it's intriguing that you get yourself out there on television. I assume, when you cut a video or a commercial, is it a pre-canned commercial that you're speaking on, or do you have the individuals doing the ad spend at the commercial?
Yeah. So, when we run TV commercials for real estate investors, I run it like I would want it ran if I was, the client, and like I did when I first started. So we have our clients in the TV commercial. It's not me unless they want me to do it. So there's some clients that are like, I don't want to be the face of it. You're good at it, you do it. And that, that makes it a lot easier for us. But the part of the benefits of having a TV commercial is personally branding yourself. And what that does is when you are in your market, meeting with contractors, meeting with realtors, meeting with private lenders, you have the credibility of being on TV. They feel like they already know you, right? So think about the people that that are on TV that you know of. If they were to walk down the street, you would be like, oh wait, that is so and so, and you'd be more likely to have the conversation with them, and you'd be more likely to interact with them if they came up to you and talked to you, as opposed to some stranger that comes up to you and you're like, who are you? What are you trying to sell? Kind of thing. So it's super powerful, and so yeah, having our clients on the commercial, I think, is the best thing to do. And it's cool because we've tested different things now that we've have over 100 real estate investors running TV with us. We've tried, husband wife teams have done really well. Families do really well, which is super cool. Having a husband and wife and their kids in there has performed very well and has gotten a lot of good feedback from consumers. So yeah, you definitely want not only your brand in the commercial, but if you are comfortable being in the commercial, which we've had clients that have been super introverts that are like, I don't want to do it. And we're like, okay, you don't have to. And they're like, well, I kind of want to be in it. And, we give them a teleprompter. We coach them through it. We do plenty of takes because it's, sometimes they may feel a little awkward, but we can do magic in the editing room and make them look good on TV.
So how long does it take? So let's say I wanted to run some ads, television ads. You go and you cut the ad, and then it starts running in your market. Well, once it starts running, when should you expect to start receiving phone calls? What does that look like?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we'll launch people on Mondays, and literally by middle of the day Monday, like a lot of our clients are posting in our Facebook group or texting me, be like, we're already getting phone calls, right? So that's pretty typical within the first couple days of getting phone calls. And then as far as getting deals, most of our clients are getting deals in their first month, at least one deal, if not multiple deals in the first month. It's pretty crazy how quickly it took off with our clients. So when I launched this a few years ago, getting people on TV throughout the country, I was like, okay, my TV commercials worked really quickly. I'm wondering how long it's going to take my clients to get on, to start getting deals. And I'd prep them. I'm like, wait 3 to 6 months. You need to give it at least 3 to 6 months. And luckily, most of the people, kind of like I did back in the day. Luckily, a lot of my clients are getting multiple deals in their first month and doing really well with it. So works very quickly, works very effectively, and lucky for us because it makes us look good, and lucky for our clients too because they start getting a return on their money pretty quickly.
Well, when you throw up that phone number on the screen and you start getting calls, I mean, you already mentioned it sounded like you have to have a sales team in order to make this work, or is that something I could just handle on my own? Say I set up a phone number or a Google number and it's just me, or is this something where I need to go and get some VAs to work in the back room when we do an 800 number? Does that matter?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've had clients do it many different ways. I always recommend the phone being answered. So it doesn't matter whether it's you, doesn't matter whether it's a VA or a lead manager in the US. The phone, just try and answer it as much as you can. And if you can't answer it, get back to them very quickly if they call, right? So we push the phone number pretty heavily because we want people to call. So we have their phone number as opposed to sending them to a website and they could potentially get lost. We have, I would say, probably 70-75% of our clients have a sales team where the owner is the one that we talk to, that we take through the program, and then their team is answering the phone. But I'd say about 20 to 30% of our clients are answering the phone themselves and doing the deals themselves. What I say is just be prepared to answer a lot of phone calls. Some of the markets that we get into, it's an okay amount of calls, but sometimes the floodgate opens. And we actually had one client recently, I think it was last year actually, literally canceled because he had too many leads. He was getting like 100 to 150 calls a month, and he's like, I can't handle the leads. So that's not super typical, but plan on having a lot of leads come in, and if they don't, at least you're prepared for it.
That's like saying I have too much money. I mean, those are problems.
I know, right?
We all want to have. Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. So if you're comparing television to, direct response postcards or something like that, mail, how does it stack up, would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So let's compare pricing first. Direct mail, if you send out 1,000 postcards, what does that cost you? $500, give or take,
Yep.
50 cents a
Give or take.
postcard, give or
Yep.
take. For TV to hit the same 1,000 people, guess how much you pay per 1,000 people for
Well, I'm
TV?
going to guess it's going to run you somewhere around $5,000 just because I think TV is expensive.
No, I'm sorry. Just so let's say you send out 1,000 direct mail pieces, you pay
Yep.
$500. So to hit the same 1,000 people on TV just once, how much do you think that costs?
5 grand.
5 grand? Okay. Try $5.
What?
$5. $5. So if for every $5 in ad spend on TV, you're hitting 1,000 people once, right?
Really?
Absolutely. So if someone has a budget and they're spending $10,000 a month, they're hitting, oh gosh, I'm going to do the math real quick in my head. What is that? 500,000 impressions
I was going to say that's a crap. Oh,
to
well,
people.
maybe I
It's,
shouldn't
it's
say
a
that.
lot of commercials, right? And, and,
A
and
ton of
that's
people.
that's the cool thing is that, you know, when I got on TV, I realized that we were hitting a lower income demographic, which not a lot of people are hitting. So commercials are less, not only are there more people watching it, it's less expensive because not as many people want to go after low income. They want to go after people with money
Yeah.
that can spend money. We're looking at people that don't have as much money so they can sell the property to us and we can, benefit and obviously help them as well. So yeah, that's one of the reasons that, one of the many reasons that we're successful with TV commercials and a lot of our clients is we're getting them seen a lot. In fact, in my market, I've got 1,500 commercials a month being played. So my commercials being played 30 times a day to tens of thousands of people, potentially maybe 100,000 people a day. It's insane how inexpensive it can be if you know what you're doing.
How many calls do you get a day?
We average probably, what does it come out to? Anywhere from 1 to 3 leads a day, somewhere in that range. But you got to remember, we're hitting a small demographic. We're hitting people that have distressed properties, own them a long time, most likely, and are looking to sell right now and don't want to sell to a realtor because they're embarrassed of their house, right? So,
Yep.
it's pretty amazing that we can generate a lot of leads from such a small demographic with TV, but that's just kind of the way it is.
Well, how about scaling it? So if I started out and as I want to grow, it's something that's easily scalable? You just start running more ads?
Yeah, it's a great question. So this will blow your mind. We have it's a pretty decent sized market. I'm not going to name what it is, but we have a client that is spending $115,000 a month in this market, right? He didn't start there. He started much lower. We've got a client that started at 10 grand a month in one market and scaled it up to 50,000 in a market. That same client is actually the one that came to us and said, "Hey, I tried TV commercials. I heard they're great, but I'm not getting any results." So we looked at his commercials. We looked at, like, there were so many things wrong. The way the commercial was, the way the phone number and the website was, the stations that he did everything wrong because he tried to do it himself. So we took it over. He ended up increasing his ad spend to 50 grand in that market. And now he's in 5 markets spending, I think it's 150 to 200 grand across 5 different markets. So it is something that you can go into a market and spend kind of on the lower part of the spectrum and then scale it up and then also take it and plug it into other markets as well. So we've got multiple clients that are in multiple markets that have figured out how to virtually wholesale deals and are really creating a scalable business with TV commercials with us.
But what would you recommend? If I'm a real estate investor, should I have a certain level of experience before I go to TV, or can you just jump right in right away?
Great question. So here's the thing. If you're doing deals and you know how to do deals, probably going to be okay for you as long as you can answer the phone, can handle the lead volume, can close on deals or wholesale them or figure out what to do with the leads, right? If someone comes to me off the street today and says, I'm a brand new investor. I've never done a deal. Am I going to turn them down? No, but I'm going to be very picky because I don't want to spend their money and then him or her come back to us and be like, I wasn't able to do deals, right? Because they have to figure out how to analyze properties and negotiate and all that kind of stuff. So one story I'll tell you about, we've only had probably between 5 and 10 brand new investors that we brought on, and we brought them on for different reasons. Either they had a sales background, they owned a successful business before, they had substantial amount of money that they were willing to put at it. And there was one guy that worked a full-time job, and he was a Division I college quarterback several years before, and he just begged me to get in. He was like, I know you don't take on new investors, but this is the first new investor I took on. And he's like, you will not have to coach me. You will not have to teach me. I've already learned. I will figure this out. And I'm like, dude, if this guy could play Division I college quarterback at a high level, I would imagine that if he gets a good lead, he could figure out what to do with it. So long story short, he made, oh God, what was it? He made like 50 grand in his first couple months or something like that. So, and it was off and running. So if you're a new investor, I would say, it's probably a small percentage of people that would be good for TV right out of the gate, but I think it's worth a conversation to see if it's something that could potentially work for them.
I'm sure there's some people that fail though, right?
Some people what?
Fail. Some people that don't make it, they try it and it doesn't work out for them.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I wish we could say we had a 100% success rate. Anybody who says they have that is probably lying. But we do have a very high success rate. We have a very high success rate of getting people on TV, which, that's one of the reasons we like doing the fulfillment and, doing the whole process for people. And then, typically when someone comes to us and cancels, it's usually a sales conversion problem. And that's why when I tell people when I'm talking to them, I'm like, you need to be able to handle the leads and figure out how to monetize them. We can drive the traffic. We can get the phone ringing. But if you can't monetize the traffic and monetize the leads, then it's not worth anything. So, we've had clients come to us and be like, hey, we got 90 leads this last 2 months and we're only able to do one deal out of it. And we're like, well, it's probably not a lead issue. It's more of an internal issue. And so, some of them, have just go away, or some of them we dig into the process. And then after 30, 60 days, they realize their team wasn't doing what they were supposed to and turn it around. So absolutely, there's reasons that, TV doesn't do well for people. Smaller markets probably a little bit better than bigger markets. We have people in bigger markets doing really well. But the thing about smaller markets is a small ad spend can go a long way and you can get really good returns on it. So, but the success rate, I would guess our success rate is probably higher than almost any other marketing channel and any other company out there for real estate investors.
Well, so one thing I'd be concerned about, let's say that I started working with you and we've picked a market, let's say it's where I live in Pierce County, Gig Harbor area, and I'm running an ad, right? And then 3 months later, somebody sees that ad who's a real estate investor, like, damn, that's pretty good. I'm going to do the same thing. And they call you up and they say, hey, I want that market that Clint's in. And now I have competition. How do you stop that from occurring?
So the way we run our TV ads with real estate investors is we license spots throughout the country, and we don't want to oversaturate it. So we do 2 to 3 investors per market. We could do a lot more in some of the markets we're in, and probably a lot of the markets we're in. So if you came to me and said, hey, I want to run TV in my market, someone else calls me the next day and says, hey, I want to run TV too, we will sell another spot. We will not oversaturate a market. But here's the interesting thing. There are some really smart real estate investors out there, but we have a lot of those come to us because they can't figure it out. We've actually had some that said, we tried to do this on our own for 3 months. We called stations. We didn't get return calls, or we talked to a rep. We didn't like the representative, or they came and pitched us this huge number that we just didn't want to pay. There's a lot of different reasons that real estate investors or even any business owner doesn't get on TV, and one of it is just it's not easy to do. You have to know what stations to be on. You have to know what shows are right. You have to know what pricing is good. You have to have a good script. You have to have a good phone number. You have to have a good web domain. Those are all things that are part of what we call a TV launch formula that you have to have. So to answer your question, even if you have 5, 6, 7 investors in some market running TV, there's typically 500,000 to 1 million people in most markets, compared to if you look at people that are texting and cold calling and those kind of marketing methods, there's, I don't know what the number is, hundreds probably in any given market. So I don't think there's going to be too much saturation with TV. If we'll know when that point is and figure out how to deal with it. But we have 3 real estate investors in many different markets, and many doing very well. In fact, that market that I told you about, we have one investor spending 115 grand a month, and we had another investor that started at 10 grand a month, has already scaled up to 50 grand a month, and we know there's one other competitor outside of our market spending over $100,000 a month on TV as well. So it's, I wouldn't worry about it getting saturated. If we don't have somebody in our program, chances are it's not saturated. If we get to a point where we know that we have one real estate investor in that market and it's a little saturated, then we're not going to add another. So we have ways to look at that and analyze it.
So correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing, or I'm thinking about this, if I wanted to go on TV, one of the issues is going to be, I got to be there available, as we talked about earlier, on the phone. So if I'm still, punching the clock with my W-2, I have to have some back office that's going to help me here. Because if those ads are running in the middle of the day and I'm working at Boeing, I'm not available. And if I don't have a VA, then they're going to voicemail. Or can you time the ads and say, hey, let's run them in this block here? Is that how you do it? Or you just tell someone, hey, here's how you're going to find the most success, and this is what you have to commit to?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually have one client, now that I realize that one of our new investors, she's been with me for 1.5 years now, and haven't heard from her in a long time, which means she's probably doing okay, because she used to contact me when she very first started, had a lot of questions. But anyway, I let her into the program because she was super smart, super educated. She's some kind of engineer in something. You could tell she's just really smart. And so she still, from what I understand, works a full-time job. So she started her TV commercials, worked a full-time job, and the way she did it was she had someone she hired to answer the calls during the day, and then when she got off at night, or I think she worked from home, so she would take breaks, meet with that person and say, oh, that's a good deal, why don't you set me up for a Zoom call or set me up to go look at the property, or however she did it. And she did it on the side, and she was doing very well last time I talked to her. And she did it with a full-time job. So it's not ideal for that to happen. I'd rather someone be full-time in the business and answering the phones and, being on top of things. But if someone works a full-time job and thinks they can handle it, then we can figure out how to make it work. So again, she had someone answering the phone for her while she wasn't available, and that's the way that she made it work.
So if I was going to reach out to you and I was interested in getting started on TV, but I don't know what I don't know, do you all take me through and say, all right, Clint, here's what you need. You need a phone number. It needs to look like this. We need to get you a website. So do you have the resources? Because quite frankly, I wouldn't want to spend my time and screw it up. I'd want somebody like you, or you could direct me to people that can do it. So I know right out of the gate that the money I'm making investing to get this off the ground, it's going to pay the highest dividends, the ROI.
Yeah, that's why people hire us. So again, we have this formula that we work with, and we know what shows and stations to be on. We have scripts that we've proven that have worked really well that we put together for our clients. We set them up to shoot the commercial in their market. We guide them. In fact, I had a 30-minute phone call yesterday with someone that we signed up that's going to be spending quite a bit of money in a market. He's like, I want to make sure I do this right. He's like, I needed to talk to you because I want you to talk me through this. And we went through probably 10 to 15 domain names. He's like, this is what I want to buy. What do you think about it? And I'm like, well, you're going to spend $1,000 to $2,000 on that domain. Let's brainstorm some other domains. So we went through a bunch, and then bam, we just came up with, oh, perfect. That's the one that is very easy to remember, short and easy, because that's what you want to happen. You want, when people are watching commercials, to be able to remember the phone number. So we coach our clients through that. And then a web domain that's easy to remember as well, because what happens is if they miss either one of those and they don't have DVR, which is going to happen with a lower income demographic, they're going to Google, and guess what happens? If you're not all the way at the top, and even if you are at the top, they're probably going to see the other competitors and go, oh, okay, well, there's professional home buyers, but you know what? That ad looks good too. I'm going to go to these other guys and fill out their form as well, as opposed to if they go directly to your domain, you hopefully have them right there. Or if they call you, you've got them. And if you can get out there quickly, then and service them well, then they're much more likely to not go to somebody else. I've kind of polled some of our clients and asked them the question, like, are you typically the only appointment on there? And they're like, we have so many other marketing campaigns and we compete with a lot of other people on appointments, but we notice with TV commercials that we are typically the first one out there and usually the last one, unless of course they can't buy the property. So that's another great benefit of TV is being one of the only out there. If again, they call you or they go directly to your domain and you service them properly.
Wow. Yeah, because I just started thinking about what you were saying about professional home buyers. It may be something where you come up with, Big Lou Homes or something like that it's really easy to remember that name, Big Lou. And so then they would Google that, and that would probably cut out some of the competition, because I can't imagine there's too many Big Lou's that buy homes in that market. Yeah, this is really intriguing, putting all this together. It's something that I mean, we've all seen it before on TV. That you got that caveman group out there that runs the ads, and it works. And as you've proven in what you've done with your modeling and building up your real estate empire and those that you're helping, I really think that this is one way to differentiate yourself, because so many people are looking for those marketing channels. It's how do I find more motivated sellers? Well, it's you got to reach out to them in a way in which they haven't been hit, because they're probably getting tons of postcards in the mail. And so you've got to cut through all of that. And I can imagine even that some people may still drop postcards, because what you stated with branding, they see you on TV, and if you're still doing postcards and they see your postcard, that's going to help you out a lot in getting someone to be receptive to want to reach out to you. So do you ever recommend that, hey, even you go TV, you don't need to abandon your other marketing as well?
Yeah, so the great thing about TV is if people are doing other forms of marketing, TV helps those forms of marketing. So like you said, direct mail. If you are doing direct mail and they see, like we've had many deals that people call us and say, hey, we called you from a stack of this direct mail and we called only you or called you first, one of the two, because you're on TV, we know you're credible, right? Websites, you can put as seen on TV and you put your TV commercial on there, performs exponentially better than if you don't have as seen on TV. In fact, there's studies on that as well. And then, like you said, if you're doing any of the other forms of marketing, like even people have done texting and cold calling, and once the lead is warm and they really feel like it's someone that is actually a seller that wants to sell. Oh, by the way, we're Big Blue Homes. You've probably seen our TV commercial, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's you guys," And then that conversation is just so much easier. And so, being able to brand it with everything else is very powerful. And the thing about it is when people know, like you, and trust you, they're more likely to do business with you. Number one, and number two, it's going to be easier to negotiate, right? Because we look at our profit margins, and I think our profit margins are bigger on TV deals compared to others for two reasons. One is we're hopefully the only one out there, so we're not competing with people. But even if we are, there's people that have come back to us and said, we got 3 or 4 offers. Yours is 5, 10, 10. I think the most we've seen is like $15,000 less than the next person or the highest person. We're going to go with you guys because we know you can close. We know that, you've been on TV for a while and we just feel like you're going to close. We just never heard of these other guys, So I could go on and on about all the benefits. I mean, it's helped us raise private money. It's done so many things for us. So once you have your brand out there and you have not only a personal brand, but like I said, you as a brand out there as well, It just helps you to do business better and easier. And, people just like doing business with people they know, like, and trust. And if you're on TV, they feel like they trust you. It's just kind of weird how that happens.
Yeah, that credibility factor is, like you stated, really important when you're meeting people for the first time. It's like when I wrote my first book, my wife's like, "Why are you writing the book?" I said, "Because it gives you credibility, right? You put a book out there, you could be brand new and you throw out a book. Now people think you're the expert in that field." I kind of think I am an expert in one field, but it's important. And so if you're trying to grow a business in real estate and you want to scale, I would highly encourage anyone that is watching this right now to go check out Tony's site. TonyJavier.com, right? TonyJavier.com. There's another way to get there as well.
Yeah, you could go there. The better way to go directly to the TV information is remtv.com, stands for Real Estate Masters, remtv.com. You can go there. You can kind of see kind of a visual of the commercials we do. You can go on there, fill out your information, see if your market's available, and then schedule a call with me or my team, and we can talk through it. So we can look at your market. We can give you upfront an idea of what you need to spend on TV, and talk you through the whole process. So it's pretty simple the way we've done it. And anybody who wants to get on TV, we've pretty streamlined the process, and within 30 days or so we can have you up and running on TV, if there's a spot left in your market, of course.
That's great. I'll have the links in the show notes. Just click on the show notes. It'll go down there. You click on the link. It'll take you right over to his site. Is there anything else you want to leave in passing to the people that are watching this right now?
I think the only thing I could say is, it's just been a game changer for me. Just if I wouldn't have found TV 11 years ago, I don't know that I would be in business. Could I have figured it out? Probably, but there's so many other marketing channels that have come and gone. But TV is the one that consistently performs over and over, and has built just a big name for me in my market. In fact, I live in San Diego now, so I moved from Wichita, Kansas 7 years ago to San Diego, so I get to invest in the Midwest, but live in a warmer climate. And anytime I go back to Wichita, there's people that recognize me. They're like, "Oh, Tony, you're the guy on TV," or "You're the real estate guy." In fact, it's funny. There's a guy in Whole Foods. I don't think he works there anymore, because the last couple of times I've been in there, he hasn't been there. But he used to make a big scene. He kind of flamboyant. He's like, "Tony Javier, professional home buyers, is in our," and just like kind of embarrassing, but kind of funny at the same time. And so yeah, it's done wonders for me. And now I just love seeing it when we launch people on TV. I had a guy the other day. He's like, "Dude, I need to give you my results for my first 30 days. We have he's like, we have $150,000 of profit locked up in our first 30 days, Wow. And I get those texts all the time, and Facebook posts. I mean, I could show you, dozens of those. It's just unbelievable to be able to see that, and to help business owners put them on the map, and hopefully, get them a more consistent lead flow, and to help them stay in business longer. Because as you know, you've probably seen a lot of businesses come and go. I mean, the next thing comes, people are texting and cold calling, and they're doing really well, and then all of a sudden it becomes really competitive, or compliance shuts them down, and all of a sudden they have to pivot. And if they don't have another lead source, then they're going to go away. They're going to have to figure out how to do something else. So I'm all in on TV. This is pretty much, I've got multiple businesses. I do a lot of other things, but TV is the number one thing that I love to do, and that I spend most of my time on for helping other people.
No, I think it's great. And I want to thank you for taking the time to come on and share that aspect of real estate investing, how to create those that lead flow. So thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Clint. Appreciate it.